Cue up the band, because Trojans Live is back. Once again, here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Keely Orr.
Trojan fans, college football is back. No matter where you're watching this football season, be sure to buy a cold, crisp Dos Equis and fight on. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York. And you've got to train hard to play hard. Monster Hydro contains essential electrolytes and energy you need to perform at your best. Learn more at monsterenergy.com. Monster Hydro, hard charging, hydration. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Keely Orr, and Yogi Roth joins us now on the Football Roundtable. Yogi's going to be calling the game on Saturday with the great Ted Robinson by his side, so that'll be a fun one. We'll get into that too. But you've got a new book here. If you're watching us on the stream, displayed 5-star QB, and I was looking at the cover earlier. It's covered in Trojans. How many Trojans you got? How many stories you have in there from USC alums?
So many. I mean, you just think about the cover, and as you reference, it goes from John David Booty to Mark Sanchez to Matt Barkley to even today, where we're with Caleb Williams, him being in the book, which is pretty cool. When we asked every quarterback in this book the same 22 questions, and to hear JD and Mark talk about mental health, for instance, or talk about their first start, and then to read what Caleb talks about. Like, it's just fascinating. And the reason we came up with the book was I talked to so many high school quarterbacks and their families, and they keep asking the same questions. I was like, we have to create like a tribe of mentors for these young men and their families. And as we started on this process, Joey Roberts, the co-author, and myself, man, it was awesome. Every quarterback was like, yeah, I'm going to throw it out. Let me write. Let me give some advice. Let me help. And then we layered in ambassadors of the game with Coach Riley, Pete Carroll. A lot of people came from SC, and even in the Pac-12, Chip Kelly, David Shaw, Dan Lanning, Ryan Day. So many coaches poured in their advice to families and players to go through the process as well. So I hope anybody who picks it up, it's like, yeah, I needed help on that part of my journey.
I would have loved a 5-star defensive line book. I don't know if that's in the work.
I got You're the only one.
I got a paragraph for you that might. Yeah, it's a good start for you there, bud. So, Yogi, I love talking to you, bud. Love getting your insight on the Pac-12 always. What do you think this year looks like for USC? What could some of the expectations for just a crazy offseason, right? With Lincoln Riley hiring and all the hype that comes around it. What do you see kind of how this thing plays out?
I don't think I've been more excited to call a game in my career.
Wow.
I mean, and we've
so
called
you're
great
going to pump the
games.
hype train too? Here we go.
Well, I just mean there's intrigue, right? Like, what are we going to see? I have no idea. And I love what Coach Riley has continually talked to you guys about around trust. And he's asked his team to like throw down and trust each other and the scheme and the staff, because that's the only way they'll be able to make up the time that they just don't have. Like I often go back to what Coach Peterson, Chris Peterson, told me the day he got hired. I flew up to Seattle and did a sit down with him. I said, how long does it take to implement your philosophy? Without flinching, he goes, 18 months. So that's always my bar, because it's Coach Pete, right? And I think there's some truth to that. But now you add in this era with all these guys that you were just sitting with. Jordan Addison, he's played a bunch of years. Caleb has played. Like, there's a different maturity. Even interviewing some of those guys the last few weeks in advance of the game, you sense that. So I bet they've been able to amplify and speed up that process. But they're going up against teams that have been together for a while. So I'm not on the CFP train. I think we need to like calm down that and like let Lincoln Riley call a play here. Let his team go through some adversity and learn from it. And then I'll still keep predicting this one. I think they beat Notre Dame to finish the season, and it is a catapult for next year.
Okay. Now, obviously, you're very familiar with the Pac-12. What, in your opinion, has been the reaction to Lincoln Riley coming to USC?
Seismic, monumental. I throw in any word that you'd like to describe that. It was amazing. And just being here at his opening press conference, you felt it, right? And we've all been at all the press conferences in the past since Coach Carroll left USC, and it was just different with Lincoln here. And I think the timing is so perfect for him. And then you get to know him, and I don't know him as well as you three do, but man, he just seems like he is organized, has a way about him, understands the culture and the fit, and is malleable. Like, he's just kind of like, he's approachable. He's normal. Like it's not like he's not arrogant. Like, he's just got a great presence to him. And I think this generation of recruits, like referencing the book and players I talk to, like, they're just going to lean into that. And I think it's all the fun stuff that gets all the headlines, but also the real stuff of like, you're going to come here to develop. You're going to get an elite degree. You're going to be able to compete for championships and make all the money in the world in the NFL and achieve all those dreams.
You're listening to Yogi Roth on Trojans Live, and you mentioned you interviewed Caleb Williams for the book. What stood out to you about Caleb and his answers?
It was really fun. Like Bo Nix, Sam Heward. Like let's talk guys that are playing
right now.
Cam Rising, right? They're all in the book that are currently on rosters, and it was just amazing to be reminded that he's not 30.
No.
He's not Tom Brady. Like, and I think there's something for that. And that's why I say like there's so many expectations out there for these individuals. And writing the book and even the cover, the purpose of the cover is to show their faces. Because so often when players commit, immediately go to whatever website and it's what's their ranking, what's their huddle film look like, what are their accolades, what's their social media, how many followers do they have, and we forget at times that like there are human beings. And Caleb and I often remember when SC beat Notre Dame when I was on the staff with Leinart and the Bush Push, and he came into Sark's office and Pete's office afterwards, and it was a real challenging time for him because the pressure got too much. JD had the same thing, Mark had the same thing, Barkley the same thing, Darnold the same thing. Like and Caleb's gonna have the same thing. Like it's just gonna be hard. So as I was reading his responses, I was like, yeah, I think he's 19, right? Like of course he's 19.
Yeah, just sophomore.
Like he doesn't have every answer in the world. Let's not pretend that he does. And I think that there's so much going on that a lot of his world, or maybe not his world, but the world observing him is like, oh, he's got every answer in the world. And that's why I love Lincoln, because I bet Lincoln could be like, hey, dude, okay, come on in the facility. Let's just, we're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make a bad read against Rice and Stanford and Fresno State. Like, he's not going to be perfect.
Yep.
But I do think he's a 1%er. He's one of the top 5 I've ever seen coming out of high school. And I'm excited for him to get there. I think he will. I just think we should give him a minute to take some time and settle in.
Sean, we have just a few seconds. Do you have like a visor or hat question for Yogi?
No. I have a quick one about Oregon and Georgia.
Yeah.
You got a Pac-12, a big one for the Pac-12 to represent across the country. What do you think, how that plays out?
I'm excited. I think Oregon's front seven and offensive line will be able to manage the physicality. It's going to come down to what does Dan Lanning do in critical moments? Decide to go for it, fake punt, onside kick, like all the things. And then if it's Bo Nix, which I think we presume it to be, what is he doing? Like, and got to have it downs. What does he do on critical downs and distances, third and short in the fringe red zone area? Can he complete that ball? If he can do that, they're going to have a chance to go win that game.
There's some great action in the Pac-12 in Week 1, and Yogi Roth will be on the call for the USC-Rice game coming up. Pac-12 Network, 3 p.m. on Saturday. Our pregame show will start at 1 o'clock live from the floor of the College.